We have breaking news this hour. Matt Gaetz is stepping down from his nomination to Attorney General of the United States. Many said this was the most contentious of the nominations made by former President Trump. And he has announced categorically that he will not be seeking confirmation to the post of Attorney General. Here are his words. I had excellent meeting with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition. There's no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. I remain fully committed to seeing that Donald J. Trump is the most successful president in history.
Something's going on, gang. Something is going on. I think we're seeing the makings of a 4D chess champion, or better, two 4D chess champions. I'm going to lay out an argument for you here that this whole Matt Gaetz saga was all intentional. This was all, as it were, scripted. And I'm curious what you think. Let me know. Gang, obviously Americans are tired and frustrated by a stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. But thankfully, there are companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution. I'm proud to partner with Patriot Mobile because they're on the front lines fighting for the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our military and first responder heroes. Take a stand for conservative causes and put America first by switching to Patriot Mobile today. You'll get the same nationwide coverage as the big providers because Patriot Mobile operates across all three major networks. Plus, they back their service with a coverage guarantee. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team will find the best plan for your needs. Keep your phone number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Go to patriotmobile.com/Turley Talks or call them at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Right now, get a free month, a whole free month when you use the offer code Turley Talks. Don't forget that. Use Turley Talks. You get a free month. Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. They don't and they can't. Join me. Switch to America's only Christian conservative mobile provider, Patriot Mobile. Now, as you all know, Matt Gaetz has withdrawn his name from consideration for Attorney General. And I know that there's a lot of anger out there, precisely because of the enormous pushback the Gaetz nomination got from effing Republicans. Forget the Democrats. They're losers. They're in the minority all the way around. We could care less about the Democrats. Nope, it's the Republicans. The Republicans are the ones who have stood in the way of us being successful these last 4 decades. It's not Democrats. We don't need Democrats. We got rhinos. We got Karl Rove. We got Trey Gowdy. Mr. Beetlejuice head. His head shrunk even smaller as a result of all this. We got Susan Collins. We got Mitch McConnell. We got the utterly repulsive Lisa Murkowski. We don't need Democrats. It's Republicans that never fail to stand in the way of our success. Or did they? Did they? You see, there are several signs here that this was indeed all intended. Now, I'm not saying I know this. I'm going to tell you that up front. I know, right? Remember, we've talked about this in an earlier video. You do not want to be lied to. I am not Joe Scarborough. I'm certainly not Mika. All right. I am not Rachel Maddow. I am not going to lie to you intentionally like they do, right? Or at least I should say they appear to do, right? I don't know this. What I'm saying is that there are several signs that show that we are witnessing some pretty impressive Game of Thrones 4D chess maneuvering from both Trump and Gaetz. Keep that in mind. From both Trump and Gaetz. Now, write that down or keep score of that as we go through this. Again, I am going to tell you up front, I don't have inside baseball info here. I'm not saying I know this, but there are some very clear signs that this is indeed 4D chess. And I'm gonna lay it out for you, and you tell me what you think in the chat. So first and foremost, this was an obviously very abrupt withdrawal. It came out of left field, right field, I guess, for Gaetz. And it was one that clearly had Trump's green light behind it. As you know, Trump released a statement on Truth Social. I greatly appreciate the recent efforts of Matt Gaetz in seeking approval to be Attorney General. He was doing very well, but at the same time did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. Matt has a wonderful future, and I look forward to watching all of the great things that he will do. So that's first. This was a sudden announcement, but you can be sure it didn't happen suddenly. Right? Get that? Make sure you got that. This was a sudden announcement, but there's no indication that it happened suddenly. This had Trump's approval behind it. So that's first. Secondly, we have to ask, why on earth did Trump nominate Gaetz in the first place? Yes, he's a firebrand. Yes, he's a Trump loyalist. We all knew that. We unwaveringly supported him. No question. But, and this is key to all of this, but Gaetz and Trump knew that, and all of Trump's people, inner circle, knew that Gaetz was not well liked on Capitol Hill. He has very, very few friends among both senators and his fellow congressmen. And the unwritten rule of Washington, D.C. politics is that you do not make enemies on Capitol Hill. Enemies on Capitol Hill are going to haunt you, guaranteed. And they knew this going into it. Both Gaetz and Trump knew this. Remember, Matt Gaetz is the one who spearheaded the rebellion against Kevin McCarthy, effectively removing a Speaker of the House from office. That is simply not done. And it ruined his congressional career. McCarthy announced his resignation from his seat shortly thereafter, shortly after being removed as Speaker at the behest of Gaetz. So there's a lot of bad blood on Capitol Hill over that move by Gaetz. And that's one of the reasons why so many were surprised that Trump nominated Gaetz. So one, you got the clear green lighting, not gaslighting, green lighting of Trump for Gaetz's withdrawal. He clearly approved it. And then two, you got the fact that Gaetz was public enemy number one among his fellow congressional ilk on Capitol Hill. But third, remember, Trump could have seated Gaetz as Attorney General if he wanted to. Trump could have seated Gaetz as Attorney General if he wanted to. Remember what he did, what he negotiated during the Senate Majority Leader battle. There was a leadership battle between John Cornyn of Texas and John Thune of South Dakota. By putting Rick Scott of Florida into the mix, Trump threatened to split the support between both Thune and Cornyn and draw that support into the support Scott already had and make Scott Senate Majority Leader. But then what Trump did is he used Scott's candidacy for the Senate Majority Leader as leverage to get Thune to agree to recess appointments if Trump agreed not to back Scott, which is precisely what played out. So we've seen Trump play this game before. We've seen the 4D chess in action. And the key here is that concession that Thune gave him to allow Trump recess appointments included the Attorney General. And it appears that concession was the leverage Trump used now with the Attorney General nomination. by threatening to seat Gaetz as Attorney General by means of the very recess appointments the Senate agreed to, that gave Trump the leverage for getting the real Attorney General that he wants, who will be every bit as vicious as Gaetz, who's waiting in the wings. We don't know who it is yet, but you could be assured it's not going to be a swamp creature. No way Trump's going to go through that again, not for being the victim of all of this lawfare for the last 8 years. So I don't know who it is yet. We'll find out. But what all of this suggests to me is that Trump worked out an agreement with Senate Republicans to confirm his new Attorney General, whoever it is, and used the power of the recess appointment of Gaetz as his leverage to get that concession. And now he gets the real Attorney General he always wanted. And we'll find out shortly who that is. Now, to close the loop here, the obvious question then is, why on earth would Gaetz agree to this? Why would Gaetz give up his Florida congressional seat only to agree to withdraw his name from consideration? You tell me, put it in the chat. Why would Gaetz agree to do this? Well, we're already getting the answer, aren't we? There's already a call to have Matt Gaetz replace who? Marco Rubio in the Senate. So a number of people are out there now. Interesting, isn't it? That didn't take too long. A number of people are out there now calling on Governor Ron DeSantis, who, of course, would be a part of this. If this is truly the 4D chess that it looks like, again, I'm just saying on the surface, this is what it looks like. But if that's the case, Ron DeSantis will be a part of it. And if we're analyzing this rightly, there are already calls out there to give the seat to Matt Gaetz and make him a 24/7 thorn in the side of both his Republican colleagues as well as Democrats. So bottom line, a recess appointment of Gaetz was used as leverage to get Republicans to agree to the Attorney General candidate that Trump really wanted, all the while Gaetz gets a Florida Senate seat. If that's what they're doing, gang, I'm sorry. This was freaking absolutely awesome. We'll obviously have to see how it plays out, right? But if it plays out that way, you heard it here first. I want to touch on something else before we finish up this segment here. Something else happened today, something I think, frankly, disturbing, and that's the conviction of Jussie Smollett. It was overturned by the Illinois Supreme Court. As you all know, Smollett was found guilty of staging a hate hoax, absolutely ridiculous, absurd hate hoax that only the most rabidly woke purveyors of hate could possibly believe in. His case was reviewed by the state high court, which just ruled that after he entered a non-prosecution agreement with the Cook County State Attorney's Office, that he should not have been charged in the first place. So it was overturned on a technicality. But I need not tell you, this overturning of a horrific hate hoax against the backdrop of the blatant lawfare that we've been seeing now for 2.5 years at least, not to mention the whole Russian collusion fiasco, it does foreground the concern that many of us have of an asymmetrical two-tier justice system that's throwing the book at Trump and the J6ers and Alex Jones, all the while the woke left-wing activists of our culture are acquitted or their sentences overturned, right? Or not even charged. And we need to look no further than all the stuff we've been seeing in the Washington, D.C. court system that is as corrupt as they possibly can get. How they've acquitted someone as admittedly guilty of lying to the FBI, someone like Igor Danchenko. You may have remembered him. He's one of the authors of the Steele dossier that detailed all these supposed salacious embarrassments that Trump committed on a trip to Moscow that Putin was using as blackmail against him. It was a blatant lie. He lied to the FBI. He admitted he lied to the FBI. The FBI admitted he lied to him, and yet a D.C. jury acquitted him. And the media didn't bat an eye to it. Or you just think of what happened with Laken Riley's killer, how he was reportedly let off the hook of the death penalty because of the negative signals it might send to the illegal immigrant community, right? I mean, it's insane stuff. But then you contrast that to the way the law's been weaponized against Trump, or the way Trump was treated by that Manhattan jury that convicted him of dozens and dozens of felonies. And to this day, we still don't quite actually know what his crime was. So all this together with the deliberate abdication of law enforcement responsibilities at the southern border and the big city Soros-backed DAs who replaced jail time for convicted criminals with what they call retributive justice, it's all just indicative of a cultural Marxist policy that is commonly known as anarcho-tyranny. We talk about it a lot on our channel. We've all experienced it, I'm sure, in some way, shape, or form. A police officer charges you a $100 fine because your parking meter went 10 seconds over, all the while ignoring the homeless guy 5 feet away from you shooting heroin, taking a crap on the sidewalk. That's anarcho-tyranny. It's a strange combination of legal exemptions for some, but legal weaponization for others. And the key here is that the purveyors of wokeness see criminals as the victims and the law-abiding as the victimizers. They see the criminals as the victims and the law-abiding as the victimizers. That's absolutely key to get. In an anarcho-tyrannical system, law-abiding citizens are actually recast as the criminals. And that's because we purportedly perpetuate a political, economic, and legal system infested with racist and bigoted and sexist and so-called policies. And so criminality, when it's practiced by this new class of sanctified victims, criminality is actually a cry for help. Crime is a cry. And it's a cry declaring that my illicit actions are indicative of a systematically racist and oppressive system that you, the law-abiding citizen, create and perpetuate. That, in a nutshell, is anarcho-tyranny. And it's not, let's be blunt, it's not merely insane, it's satanic. It's the inversion of truth. It's the inversion of reality. It is literally satanic in that it's a perverse inversion of a humane and just society. So all this is to say that Trump could not possibly get inaugurated soon enough. And we'll certainly keep an eye on who his next attorney general pick is, as well as who the next senator from Florida is. I have a feeling the two are going to be connected.